All right, guys. You have got a fair bit of idea about how languages have been evolved, how the study of language is currently placed in the world. Not just that, how the different branches of linguistics have been introduced into different fields, especially like what we have discussed about the involvement of linguistics or language in artificial intelligence and things like that. You know a bit of idea. So you've got a fair bit of idea about how languages work. The present languages, the current languages in front of you, the languages that we know at the moment in the world, in and around the world. You know different languages. You have heard of different languages. You might have come across, different languages in televisions, in YouTube, and other, internet media and things like that. So there are different languages. So the basic purpose of language is, as you know, it is just for communication and communication to the maximum when it has when language has to provide something called a meaning. It has to convey a message to the receiving end. So that is communication. That is language all about. So languages have been evolved over the years and it's getting changed. It is undergone a lot of transformation. It has undergone a lot of misplacement happened. Different involvements occurred. Different thoughts came into place in languages, and all these happened because because of the migration, because of the colonialization, because of religion. In fact, the languages have evolved in such a manner that people have focused in uh, in a particular language and has they have created something called a universal language, which is of course English, because English is widely accepted. It is the widely accepted language, and it is also called the lingua franca as well. So uh, why this happened, as I discussed, as I just mentioned before, uh, uh, this all happened. These all aspects of English language happened because of the amount of the volume of migration which took place during, especially during the 19th latter part of the 19th century and the 20th century, and even now the 21st century as well. So migration plays an active role in the case of spread of language, or in keeping the language live. So when you discuss about language, a live language, you know it is in front of you. You have a live example in front of you, that you are learning a second language. You are learning a second language in the sense that you are trying to acquire a second language, which is English, of course, uh, which is not your mother tongue, which is not even your native language, not even your one of the languages in your country, which is definitely a foreign language, which has been brought to your country by some other persons, by the colonizers, in fact. Uh, and you are trying to acquire that language for what? You are trying to acquire that language because that language is being widely spoken. That is a live language that is being spoken across the globe. Wherever you go, you are able to speak in English to anyone. There will be at least, there will be a kind of minimum one or two persons in around 100 square feet area, wherein you can meet someone who understands and someone who can respond back to you in English. That is the reach of English language. So there are many things that you should understand because of the colonialization, or because of the volume of migration which is happening around the corner, around the world at the moment. Even the refugee problems also are you know, kind of, it's boosting the reach of English language. But there are something else that you should understand is that there are few languages, not just few. There are many languages. There are a number of languages which has been extincted from the world, from the linguistic map of the world. As you know, we were millions of years back. We studied in the geography that millions of years back we were a single continent. We were a single continent, and we were not divided into different continents or different countries. It was kind of different regions were there, but languages were all linked together when you consider that particular aspect of people lived together. But the thing is that when the continents, when the plate tectonics happened, when the continental shift happened or occurred, what has happened was that the uh, people or different regions became prominent, and the difference in language came to place then only. So what happened was that one single language was divided into different languages. So there was for sure there was a single language, single parent language, which even now we are not sure about which particular language was that. We because all of the languages around the globe are in one way or the other linked to each other, as you know that you might have heard of uh, you know a Finnish epic, an epic in Finland. The name of the Finnish epic is Kalevala. Kalevala is of course a Hindi term. So that is the amount of surprise which can produce by the languages across the globe. Even now, just few minutes back, I had a little bit of understanding about languages, in the sense that I was just going through surfing through one of the channels, and I understood that there is a link between Korean language and Tamil, which is also a bit of it aroused a bit of surprise to me as well. So there are a number of words which are directly linked to Korean language, Tamil and Korean language, and a majority of the Korean people, they can understand Tamil language as well. You might have also come across something called not something called the movies of Tamil superstar Rajinikanth is widely accepted in China and Japan and South Korea. Why is it so? You can understand, because the language they speak, Tamil, is be understood, or they can easily understand Tamil because of the close relations with the Far East languages. All right. So when when we speak about the live languages, you should also consider the languages which have extincted as well, the dead languages as well. Currently, there are over around 7,000 languages spoken in the earth, in the world today. These languages exhibit enormous diversity, from the number of distinctive sounds, to the vast range of possible word orders, structures, the concepts that language used to convey meaning. You know, but when you come across the extincted language, you can give an example. I can give you an example of not completely extincted, but it is trying to fade. It's getting faded. It's getting faded behind the curtain. Is nothing but not other language, but it is Latin, or you can say Sanskrit. These are all getting going back to the curtain, going behind the curtain. They are trying to subside in such a way that it it can't come back easily, for the purpose of communication, that you should understand, not for writing, and or for the purpose of spoken communication. So there are many reasons why languages die. The reasons are often sometimes they are political, sometimes it may be economic or cultural in nature. But speakers of a minority language may, for example, decide that it is better for their children's future to teach them a language that is tied to economic successes. For example, if the current example which we have, the present example in which we are living in Kerala, where we speak a different language, but our parents would like our children to learn a different language. They need to acquire English as a second language, and they have completely, they deliberately say that my child should speak good English as the natives. Why is it so? Because they want, because of it all depends on the economic and the financial setup in which they are going to be placed after 5 years or 10 years down the line. It all depends on that manner, and that is why, and a generation after, what will happen is that their kids will definitely speak English only because they are placed in one of the English speaking countries. And what will happen to their generations, their generation will definitely speak English, and they will definitely forget. Uh, Obviously, they will forget Malayalam or your native language, native tongue. So that is one important aspect when it comes to the depth of a language. We are a minority language speaking area, you know, and we believe in this manner. Now, if you have a fair bit of idea about English language, you will be well placed. Your future will be completely successful, and in that manner, we are not deliberately debilitating the standards of your native language, but still, uh, it all depends upon the success rate of your economy, success rate of your financial background, when you approach a different language. Nowadays, we have many of our people who live around. They try to learn German, French, and they want to migrate to these countries. Once they are settled there, what will happen is that their the progeny will completely forget, or they don't even understand even a single word in the native language, their mother tongue, by the way. All right. The vast majority of the second generation, the next generation, that's the problem. The next generation immigrants, uh, uh, for example, the next generation immigrants to the United States of America, they do not speak their parents' language fluently. You have a lot of examples there. The Spanish speaking people, the Hispanic people, they are very proud of saying that we are Hispanic, like Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a Spanish man, but he didn't know even how to pronounce many of the majority of the words in Spanish. His wife is also a Spanish lady, by the way. So they have a different background. They migrated to a different country and they settled there. And their next generation, the second generation immigrants, they won't speak their mother tongue. They won't speak their parents' language fluent. It's economically and culturally more beneficial to speak English for these people. So these are some of the things that we need to understand about the aspects of dead language. And another thing, as mentioned before, migration also plays a large role in language change and language death. When speakers of the Proto-Indo-European migrated to most part of Europe and large parts of Asia between the 6,000 and 8,000 years ago, they probably brought about massive language change and language death, as mentioned before. It's all linked together. So there is one family of language which is named as Indo-European family of language. From that particular coinage, that you can understand that the depth of relations between languages of Indian, or the languages in the Indian subcontinent and the European continent. So these are all linked together. The first the consonant shift which happened from German to Indian or from German to English. These are all linked because these are all changes that happened, the transformation that took place over the years, over many years, over many centuries later. So, like we have mentioned before, father is an English language. Father, father is a word in English language, but the other word, the alternate word in German is vater, vater, which ver is fur. So it's all linked together. So ver changed to fur. So per changed to burr. So the constant shift happened over the years uh, in around the world because of migration, because of economic problems. So in Western Europe, Basque is another language which could possibly be the only modern language that survived the influx of the Indo-Europeans. Only the Basque language in Western Europe survived uh, the influx of the Indo-European, which is no kind of relations, no link to the Indo-European influx which happened. That's a difference. That's a different story there. Oh, right. And when it comes to the death of language, yeah, because sometimes it happens because of the competition from another language, because of the monopoly of different language, the domination of a different language in a speaking area. For example, it's only during the past few centuries that English has become the universal language uh, um, everywhere, universal language everywhere, not just in the English empire. So formerly there was, for example, I can give you an example. It has become the universal language in Cornwall in UK. Formerly there was a Cornish language. There was something called a Cornish language, or in Wales, for example, you have Welsh as their native language, and in Scotland they had Scottish, and Finland they had Finnish, and in Ireland they have Irish, but they don't speak these languages. In Ireland, we can't find not even 5% of the people, even the older generation, not even 5% of the natives speak Irish language. They are all used to speaking, they are all accustomed to speaking English as their mother tongue. They are very well versed in English language. Even the poets, in the greatest poets in English language, George W.B. Yeats, or the novelist George Bernard Shaw, James Joyce. These are all they are all Irish people born and brought up in Ireland, and they can speak only English. They could speak only English. They were not familiar in Irish language. Those are the different aspects that you should have to understand, because their generations, their second generations, and third generations never speak their native language, their parents' language. Last non-native speakers of these Ireland or Cornish or Welsh were few old people, very few, as I said, 5%, maximum 5% in these areas. Even in Wales, majority of the people, they don't understand Welsh language, and in Scotland also there is a variety of English there, but they have mixed it up well together. Like the Scottish English is entirely different from British English. That is the difference. There comes the transformation happened because the original Scottish script has accumulated something called some aspects of English together, and they have brought up something called Scottish English, the Scottish variety of English, like the Welsh variety of English, the Irish variety of English, the Australian variety of English, the Indian variety of English. It's mixed together. It has intermingled with the language and the culture and the society in different regions. As before, as I mentioned before, nobody today speaks the classical Latin. Nobody today speaks classical Sanskrit or classical Greek. See the difference, see the problem there, see the amount of you know the extinction which happened, the amount of transformation which happened into different into languages, Latin or Greek or Sanskrit. Nobody today speaks these languages, which is once spoken by the great Julius Caesar, or the classical Greek as spoken by Pericles or Sophocles or Aristotle, which is not even you can't speak, not even a single person speaking the classical Greek in Athens or any other parts of Greece. So through the through Latin, what happened was that for Latin, what happened was that Latin changed, or Latin has been it, it is developed, it has transformed the language which is called into a language called Italian. Even in the Rome, in the part of in the parts of Rome also, you can't find people speaking like until and unless you are a religious priest, so being someone who speaks Latin for the spiritual needs of the Christian people around there. So the priests, they can speak Latin, they can understand Latin, but the common man, the common people, they don't speak Latin. Even in India, also, that's the same situation. Sanskrit is widely spoken or at least understood by the priests, the Hindu priests in India. They can understand and they can speak Sanskrit, they can read Sanskrit. But the thing is that this language, Sanskrit, a mighty language, a classical, very powerful language during the older times, has become completely downtrodden, and it cannot exist on its own. It has almost reached its extinction. So it's absolutely ridiculous that Sanskrit has extincted. It is on the roll of extinction. It is on a role of going behind the curtain, things like that. It's absolutely ridiculous, and we can't believe in such a manner that because Sanskrit had produced a lot of informative texts and all. It was once the greatest of all time classical languages. So these are uh, some important features or characteristics that you should understand about the depth of languages. This is also called the flux of language. You know, Coptic language, another language which was widely spoken in Egypt. Coptic was also it was an ancient Egyptian language, and Sumerian is also another Egyptian old ancient language which has completely gone out of the scene. Nothing is there. No Coptic, no Sumerian, nothing is there. Only for the purpose of religion, these Coptic or Sumerian or this one Sanskrit or Latin and Aramaic. You might have heard of Aramaic or Syriac, the old Syriac ancient language which has been used by the Syrian Christians in India and especially in Kerala and parts of the Middle East as well. So, and in some parts of Australia and in some parts of Far East as well. So, Aramaic. So, these are all dead languages, the flux of languages which happened during the over the years. Over the years, language revitalization is not possible all of a sudden. Revitalization is possible only through excessive use of language, only through sincere efforts made by the people who love those languages. All right, so let's see what are the other features of language, of the flux of language.